What up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new YouTube video. If you don't know who I am, my name is Kyle Chavez. I'm a 23-year-old dude that lives in California. Growing up, I always made videos of me, specifically BMX vlogs, and just lifestyle as me pretty much growing up from the age of 14 to around 16-ish. Started falling off because I ended up really just prioritizing my friends closer to senior year of being in high school. I kind of just like threw everything out the window video wise, and I didn't have the desire to do it just because partying was more important. Going out to our senior parties were more important. Smoking weed, riding BMX bikes, smoking weed with older people, and really not like you know just being on my own, mainly because I was living with my parents, my friend's parents, and my buddy ended up, getting kicked out of the house because of things that his choices and decisions that he was making, and that kind of led me to either wanting to go to the military at 17 because I graduated at 17 during COVID, or that was actually my only option. So my buddy's stepdad, he was in the military and the Marines specifically, and I felt just so structured by really just going to school every day, and that time was really difficult for me because I thought I had to like really do something and become somebody like right away, and I didn't know what to do, and my only option was to try to study for my ASVAB and go to the Marines. And I started doing that, and I remember vividly that was like almost one of the hardest things for me to do because I was constantly failing my ASVAB, like pre quiz stuff, constantly failing just like all the little tests. I downloaded ASVAB for Dummies, and I just overall sucked at reading, writing, uh, basic math, basic, reading, basic writing. I completely sucked. I never prioritized it in school. I grew up in like, I grew up going to like modified classes, and it really fucked me up because um, I carried that along with the person I am today, and it's like an anger that I have because I was in those specific classes, and it just really ticks me off, and I'm trying to learn to really throw that part of my life away because nothing of that really matters. But it only matters when I think about it and I do sit down and decide to read, or I do sit down and try to spell, because what I think of is that kid that couldn't read or couldn't write or really couldn't pay attention in school or didn't understand as much as he wanted to. And like I said, it carried on while I'm an adult. Long story short, I never went to the Marines. I went to the vegetable fields during COVID, and the online school kind of thing went on. I seen that on my it was called Aries at the time. So it's like your grade book. It said that I had, met my like I basically already passed school, and we were still supposed to be doing the online school stuff, and I just kind of threw the school shit away. And I was like, okay, I didn't do anything after COVID. I was cooped up. I didn't know what to do, and the Marines shit just kind of went away. There was these like immigrant people that I knew that their family picked vegetables. So what I did, because I was super stressed out, crying because I didn't want to smoke weed and go to the Marines yet. I still wanted to hang out with my friends. I didn't want to go as early as they wanted me to go, and I just decided to go make money. And no one ever taught me personally how to make money. I'm still living at my friend's house. My mom lives 30 minutes, 45 minutes away from where I live. I think at that point she was living a little farther because her living situation was kind of not the best as well. So I was still living at my friend's parents' house. My buddy ended up going to juvie, and then we went to the fields together. And I started picking blueberries, and he went to the cherry field. And I remember mine was hourly, and his was just depending on how many buckets of cherries he got. that's how much you would make. And I went the hourly route because I was like, I'm not a quick picker. I don't know. From people that are telling me, they're just saying go hourly, you know? So I started hourly. I did that probably for around like 3 weeks. And I was getting a little bit of taste of a little bit more money, like weekly money instead of monthly money, because when I was working at my high school, I was a custodian, student worker, janitor type thing from my sophomore year to my senior year. And I was still receiving like 1 or 2 checks after that. Because of all like the pandemic stuff. So they were still paying me every month, but I went and, started doing that physical labor demanding work. And my family didn't grow up, working in the fields like that. And we had this big farm. It's called Grimway Farms. It's over kind of behind where I used to live, maybe 30 minutes in Cuyama. I grew up in Taft. Cuyama was like right up the hill off the 166, kind of going to Pismo. So if you're familiar with that area, that's where I started. And I went out there with 7 of my buddies after I was picking those blueberries, because the guy that was taking me, I don't know if I didn't make the cut or they just didn't want to be, like seen with me. Oh, you know what it was? I didn't have a social security and an ID, so it got so far into me working those 3 weeks in the blueberries that they were already asking me for that kind of stuff. And then I was just hopping around because I didn't have an ID that said I was 18 years old. I had a social security that I was using, but I didn't have an ID. So this is when I go with my brother once he gets out of juvie, and we go to the broccoli field. He found this ad, and we ended up actually going to the wrong site at first. We were supposed to be on this different crew, and I don't know how this happened, but we ended up going to the wrong crew, and they ended up taking us in. And this lady that was the mayordomo, the foreman, she kind of took me under her wing and really helped me on like how to save my money and what I need to buy. And I really don't need expenses. I'm an 18-year-old kid. Save your money, kid, and save to get a car. Long story, a little after we start working, and I start going to work every single day. My buddies are going to work. We're going to work every day. I remember my buddy Chase Letterman. He actually would drive us there. And after a few months go by, we're just picking the broccoli. We're picking cabbage. We're picking cauliflower. We're picking lettuce, bok choy. And this machine is constantly going, okay? It's literally getting pulled by a big-ass tractor. And this machine is constantly going, and you don't stop. The only way this machine stops is when pretty much someone gets so far back and they have to stop the tractor. But the whole point of this thing, it's like an assembly line. So you got like 12 guys in the little lines that are picking, and you're cutting these broccoli, and you're having to clean off all the leaves off them, and then you're throwing them on top of like a big ass fucking board. It's like a cutting board. It's like made of like cutting board material. And what they do is after that, you have to pick the right kind of broccoli, because if not, then like the ladies that are up there on the trailer, they're putting this broccoli in like 4 bunches of broccoli, putting it through this machine that has air compress, and they press a button, and it cuts it, and then they put like a rubber band on it or something, or they put the rubber band on it before they cut it, and then after that they give it to a box girl in the back of this trailer, and then that box girl staggers them and puts them in this box, and then from that box it goes through this little fucking roller thing, and then on that roller thing there's a trailer that's right behind the tractor, and that's a guy, and he's actually loading these boxes and stacking them up and having to put like a tarp around them, and these like those like, I don't know what they're like, the angle, like the hard plastic angle, so the boxes are like straight, and then eventually you throw something you throw like a ratchet strap over, and then you tie that bitch down, and then the tractor's pulling it. So I did that for about 6 months. Okay, it was hot, it was cold, it was freezing, and it built fucking character. That Cuyama wasn't the only spot we went to. I ended up going to Cuyama, Arvin, Lamont. Tehachapi was the coldest, but for some reason we always ditched the heat. So when it got super hot down here in like Arvin, Lamont area, we would go to like to Tehachapi, and it's a little bit more mountainier where I live, and that was a fucking trip. Like I said, my foreman, she kind of took me under her wing, and really gave me, the only advice I had with money, and just basically save my money. And all my friends ended up, kind of quitting. They didn't make it, or they made a little bit of money and they just decided to stop coming, or they weren't waking up in the morning. And I was there every freaking morning. We were always late. I was always the last one on site because she was the foreman. So I kind of got the idea of like what a foreman has to do, and she was like a chingon, or whatever you call a chingon. That's like a girl. Like, she was just a badass, always screaming, little ass girl, and she was woman. She was always screaming and shit, dude. I ended up finding out her son. I was in welding class when I was in high school, and her son knew me, and I lied to her pretty much the whole time until I turned 18, and they celebrated my birthday. And we had these like tostada thingies with like they're called tingues or something. It's like a tostada with chicken, a certain sauce on it, sour cream, cabbage, and a little bit of hot sauce or something like that. So those people were super, genuine, really good people. I know it could be like, oh, like, they live on food stamps, but they're working, and all this crazy stuff that I heard, or changing their names and social securities constantly. I ended up actually getting a fake ID. I forgot I mentioned that, because I was 17. My boss, she's like, "Kid, how old are you?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm 17 years old." So I worked out getting a fake ID with, somebody on the crew, and that kept me good. I remember also that some guy came out to the field because I didn't even give my ID to my boss, like my fake Mexico ID that, like, it's super fake, dude. And I gave it to the guy from the Sparza company. He actually came out to the field and was looking for me because it was probably like 3 months I had not shown an ID. And luckily I was able to stay, and she probably, said something for me to stay. It's crazy, crazy time. And that's pretty much what happened right after high school. I went to work really fucking early on. Not too early on, but it was more of like, go now. And I was 18. I got my license. I finally bought a car. My buddy's stepdad went and checked it out with me. And when you're 18, you want a fast car that has a turbo in it, that's a 2-door coupe. And I looked and I found one that I really liked, and it was in the same town that I lived, super small town, only 5,000 people. And I ended up getting effed for that car because gave the guy 5,000. The car probably ran for 2 months, and I put another $2,000 into it, and that car had chunks of metal in the engine broken off. So that was super fucking unfortunate, but my mom told me not to buy the car, and guess what immature 18-year-old Kyle did? He didn't go get a reliable car. He went and bought a car off the marketplace that was $5,000. My idea was like, I'm not going to have a car payment. I'm just going to have insurance. So I didn't have a car. I think I drove that car, like I said, like two and a half months. And within those 2.5 months, I already had got my first job at 18 years old. And that job was I was working in a metal sheet shop company. So your typical toolboxes that say Husky on them, I was in the back packaging these toolboxes. It was another assembly line job. I literally walk in these doors with my brother because he came in with me like a couple weeks earlier, or we started around the same time. And I'm like, dude, we can work here forever. we'll make it right here. That's literally what I thought. And I was like, we can work our ways to the top. We can be the best and the boss. And my brother is 2 years older than me, and around that time he was having like, I think, he was having his seizures already, and he's like, I'm not working here the rest of my life. And I'm like, dude, why? Why are you being so like down about it? I'm like, dude, this is a good opportunity. We can do this. And you know, I'm still smoking weed around this time. I haven't quit smoking weed. I started getting more like lenient with it, like learning that like, oh, we have to take drug tests now. So like, you gotta take drug tests. So I'm trying to learn how to like, get clean in like 2 weeks, taking detox stuff, and faking the drug test, warming it up with in microwaves and stuff like that. So I ended up. My brother was smoking around this time as well, and I helped him fake his drug test, and I put it in the microwave in the lounge room where everyone would take their lunch, and my brother ended up getting the job. So after I was doing all the boxing stuff and packaging, basically putting styrofoams and then putting cardboard on it, and then from the cardboard and making boxes that were certain sizes that fit certain boxes. Like, these fuckers were pretty tall, and from there, they seen my ambition. So the guy that like kind of ran the joint, the joint, like the place, he was like, "We need more people like you." And I remember that specifically. So what they did was they gave me the opportunity to go start powder coating, because these boxes, these toolboxes, were different colors, and it literally goes all from a thin sheet of metal to bending it a certain way, to getting it cut, to getting it tacked, to getting it through the paint booth, to hardware, and from hardware to into the packaging, and the packaging into a truck. So we would do like 230, 240. I remember sometimes we were doing a lot of these spraying or packaging a lot of these toolboxes. And it was another job where I was working like where the machine doesn't stop. So I kind of came from that already at that point, and I was powder coating. So there was 4 of us powder coating, and basically they let me in the middle or towards the back where it wasn't as difficult, but you got to be quick. So like, one guy powder coats the top and the half of it, the next guy finishes the whole thing and does the bottom, and the last 2 guys like just make sure it's all touched up and completely good before it goes in the big ass fucking oven and hits hardware. So I ended up not pretty much mastering all 4 of those positions, and I was always hyped, bro. I was screaming. I was, laughing all the time. I got confident, and I got pretty good at like powder coating. I literally remember like, we'd spray all the corners, and then I'd spray them like this, up and down, like that, side to side. And then sometimes they'd get pissed and stop the machine because they're like, "Oh, we got to run this fucking back through the paint booth because it's too light." So if the machine was wrong, that means we're pretty much all doing good at the end of the day. And that was like a 3-month gig, and I didn't have a car. I think I had a car probably for my car before it took a shit. I had that car for like a month. I drove that car a month to that job site, which was in Arvin. It was called Sandusky, and my car took a shit. And then my boss that I was working with in the fields, she had her son that knew me, and they were really good to me. Like I said, she took me under her wing and let me use their car and actually put me under their insurance. So I was using it was a red Nissan Altima, and I used that for probably 2 months. And I saved up some money, and that money I was saving up, my car was in the shop, and I was trying to get it fixed, and fuck, I never got the thing fixed. We ended up just throwing out the engine and the transmission. And I just sold that car this year, January. Like, literally, that's like my first video, or like my second video of 2026. It was in my backyard, and like, kind of like when you're driving by, you can see kind of my backyard at my step parents' house. And some people like wanted the car, so I sold it to them for $300. Get rid of it. You know what I mean? my parents didn't want it there no more. I just was having to get rid of the car. So that was actually the first $300 I made this year, which is super funny. I was like, I'm an entrepreneur. But that was super cool. Gambled, some of that money away, and money goes pretty fucking quick. So, that led me to working at that job. The car, she let me use it, her and her husband, and then it was time for me to give the car up because I think her son was gonna start using it or something like that, and I gave the car back and filled it up with gas, made sure it was always clean, and washed it, gave it back to them, and then I was jobless, so I'm over here stressing again, still smoking weed, staying at my step parents' house, and I'm trying to my friend's parents' house, and I'm trying to find a job. So I had like two buddies that were working in the oil fields. One was like a crane operator helper, and one was like a welder's helper, or they call it like a pusher or something like that. And there's a company called GPS where I lived, and it was like right there by the recycling center. I'm like, damn, this is really close to where I live. This would be like a good opportunity. I need to land this job. I need to. So I get some card information through like a temp agency solution, and I'm over here literally buying a Whizzinator. If you don't know what a Whizzinator is, it's a fake dildo that has a pouch that pee comes out of it. Because I'm still smoking around this time, but I want this job in the oil fields, and I can't quit smoking, and it's just ruining my life, and smoking is way more important, and that was really bad. I'm still 18 at this time, and I ended up going down the Mid-Cal Solutions. I had no experience in the oil fields. I told them what I used to do, and they gave me the opportunity. They gave me some overalls, a hard hat, some gloves, went and bought me some boots that were too tight, and sure enough, I started working in the oil fields maybe like a month, or maybe not, maybe like 3 weeks after that job. Maybe a month, actually. Yeah, about a month. I was at home, couldn't stand still. I was cleaning my parents' house, and these are patterns that I still see to this day when I'm not working. I tend to get like really fucking crazy and anxious, and don't know where to put my energy at, and I don't know where to start. So that's a really big thing I'm currently trying to learn still to this day. So I ended up working in the oil fields for 7 months, which was really cool because I noticed, and I didn't notice, I seen people that I went to school with that were already welders, and I was like, oh wow, this guy was a welder. And I knew people in that town that were working on that specific job and in that area of the oil field. So I knew people that were there, which was cool that my brothers and sisters grew up with, or just people my mom actually knew. So I ended up working there, like I said, for 7 months, and I think around the 6th month of me doing that, we were running like a pipeline. It was a big fucking pipeline we were running. Not a big pipeline, but it was like the main pipeline at that job. And it was like 12-inch pipe, and then it went down all the way down to like 6 to 4-inch or something like that. So it was a good run. It was a few months, like a 6-month run worth of working in that little area. And between those 6 months, I was doing that big pipe, and then from the big pipe, I went to the little pipe, and I met this guy named Kyle. It's funny because he's my name. So Kyle took me under his wing also, and we were doing these things called flow lines. And I remember I was telling him, hey, dude, I got this opportunity to join the laborers union, and I'm gonna go to my boot camp. It was around like the 6th month of me in the oil fields. I'm gonna go to the boot camp, and he's like, all right, I just told him ahead, I'm like, don't tell anybody, because I don't know if it's gonna like actually happen. So I ended up going to this boot camp for a week. I thought I was gonna get fired because I was still temp and they had not hired me yet. And it was funny because when I asked to go to this boot camp and orientation for the union, GPS wanted to hire me that same week. So they're like, oh, Kyle, you're letting this opportunity go. You know what I mean? So they're kind of like making me feel bad. I'm 18 years old. I'm still learning like my own feelings. I'm still learning my feelings today. I just felt bad, and I'm like more of like a gullible kid that like thinks everything's serious, doesn't want to touch something that like is gonna potentially hurt me or say something wrong. I kind of just submitted to all the older guys, and uh, fucking, I just was like, all right. I went to the union orientation. I got invited to it. So that was a boot camp. It was like an athletic thing, sandbags, bricks, planks, carrying it, basic test, drug test. And around this time, I think I was in the oil fields. I got drug tested one time on a random, and then we got drug tested another. I think I got drug tested 2 times randomly in the oil fields because like some hazard stuff happened and we did some dangerous stuff, and they drug tested us and I faked it because my welder gave me pee. And I think around that time I was like, dude, I gotta stop smoking weed. Yeah, I gotta stop smoking weed. And I was clean actually when I went to that union boot camp orientation thing, so I wasn't really too worried about it. And this is when I started like kind of like going on and off with smoking. And I wasn't smoking as heavy because I knew like we were always having to get drug tested. But guess what I started doing? I started drinking. So like I thought like, oh, I'm not gonna smoke, but I could drink and I'll still be like okay and still feel like faded or something. I wasn't like addicted. It was just like I was just like, I don't know. Like I thought it was like, I honestly didn't think it was bad at the time. And I started like drinking like pretty much like a beer a day or 3-pack a day with my buddy. And I don't even know how the fuck I could think. I don't even think I was thinking at that time now that I think about it. I was just kicking back, watching football with my buddy, going to his house after the oil fields, and we were like trying to be country boys and stuff like that. So I started like drinking, and then when I would stop drinking, I would be like, no, I don't really like drinking because I get like, I'm drunk. I like smoking. I always catered to smoking whenever we were in high school. So like I was like, oh, smoking's better. I can function a little bit better off this shit. So then I was like on and off, and when I would smoke. I would put the beer down, and I would smoke. So back to, I was clean around this time in the union. Ended up having to take another like 3 days off or 2 days off after that boot camp thing because I had to go to an interview, and everyone's like, where the hell is Kyle? Why is he missing like a week here? And then I go to work for another week, and then I'm like off for like 2 days because we had that fucking interview to actually get in, and we had like us to study these like 3 specific things and like have an interview pretty much. I got in, and then I put my name, paid half my dues, put my name on the list, and I went back to GPS. Got me a car, put $3,000 down, and I had my first reliable car, which is this one. I bought a 2021 Toyota Corolla at 18 years old. I was gonna buy a car for $40,000, but I was like, that's probably not a good idea. So I went over to Santa Clarita and bought this car for $28,000. I just paid it off last year, so I pretty much did half in payments, and then I paid half of it in full, which was like I said, $17,000. Which was my biggest accomplishment that I've pretty much done my whole life, sadly. And go back to work in the oil fields for that month. I get hired in the union, put my name on the list, and I go to work. And I get a phone call about 3 weeks later, a month later. They're like, hey, Kyle, we have this job over on Haley Street, well, not Haley Street. It was off of Mount Vernon, and yeah, Haley Street. I'm pretty sure. And it was by a Dollar General and this like Frosty King, but pretty much I didn't know what was going on. So I got sent out there. It was literally wearing FR welding clothes, like FR clothes one day. The next day I was wearing fluorescent colors, and I was at this random shop over here on the east side of Bakersfield, and I was calling because I was super early that morning, and I was confused. I didn't know if I park in the yard or park off the side off the free like highway thingy. And my boss, I called the guy. His name was Pat Peltram, and I call him Pat. And I'm like, it's like fucking 30, 45 minutes before you guys get there, maybe an hour. And I'm like, I'm here at the job, I'm here at the yard. He's like, oh, we don't start till like another hour. And I'm like, just chilling, whatever, just making sure I'm not like having to miss a ride to go somewhere out to the field or something like that. And they show up, and this other kid shows up named Jacob Chavez. And I asked Pat, I'm like, so what are we going to be doing today? And he's like, we're going to be whacking. And I'm like, whacking? What's whacking? So they take us out to the field, and I'm like, we're driving our personal cars through like this neighborhood and shit. And I'm like, this is the weirdest fucking job I've ever been to. Like, we're just driving our own cars and shit like that. And we get there, and pretty much this whacking compaction thing, we were whacking dirt, and I didn't know how to use this whacker compaction. And luckily, my buddy Jacob now, he showed me how to use it, and I didn't know. Like, I'm whacking mud, dude. Like, they showed us kind of a run, and I'm literally like pounding on mud and shit. I'm like, dude, I don't think this like dirt is like, I think we need to take this shit out, or like this shit is like not wanting to like smash down, and we're looking like noobs. And I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, I go to jobs where I'm like, I need to be like the best, not necessarily the best, but I gotta show them what I'm worth, so then I can kind of taper down and kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, after I know what I'm doing, I can kind of like keep my cool and not really have to like bust my ass that much. But I was always super ambitious, like wanting to learn, and we did that compaction stuff, and me and my buddy Jacob pull up like the next couple of days, and these people were like pounding these stakes and setting up this wood and all this crazy stuff. I'm like, what are these guys doing, Jacob? And he's like, oh, I think this is a concrete company, dude. A concrete. I think they're doing concrete. And I'm like, oh shit, like I thought concrete was just already there. Like I was like, I'm still 18. I'm thinking like I never knew how concrete got there. I thought that shit was just there. So I tripped out, and I'm like, what the fuck? These guys are like building these boards and all this shit, and that shit was fucking crazy. And the concrete trucks come in, and I'm like, oh, this is a concrete company. And started, that was like November-ish of 2021, and 2022, Pat gave me the opportunity to go work with the Masons at this on the countryside of where they grew up actually as kids. And he put me with 4 guys that did concrete, and basically I was laying out their boards, laying out their stakes, and I learned how to pour concrete. And I was always like, I'm like, how do I use this float thing? Like, I was always so pissed when I couldn't learn something. And I remember it took me like a good 6 months, and I was over there fucking rotting that shit out. My eye was getting better for stuff. I'm not saying I'm a professional at it, but I got, I was a pretty good fucking hand when it came to concrete. And I felt like I actually did this shit in like a past life of mine, or like I would dream about this shit. I would dream about the broccoli fields. But I felt like I did this shit after I was getting pissed off and not knowing why I couldn't do it. I missed that feeling, honestly. Like, when I would get pissed off and I couldn't do it, but then like I was still showing up. It got to a point where I went and worked with them again after those jobs ended. We took a little break, and I went and worked. I think I stayed home for a little bit, and they called me back to go to work. I was working for this Indian guy under the table. I think he hired me for like 3 days, and then he hired me on the table, and Pat called me back and said he has another job over there in Oildale. When I went to Oildale, dude, these guys didn't have to tell me shit. I was fucking trying to keep up with these guys doing concrete for 20, 25, 30 years, and they liked me, and those guys also took me under their wing, and they taught me a lot of shit that I didn't know. A lot of hard work, but they taught me that shit. And then I told Pat, dude, I'm like, hey man, I'm just, you guys just got me whacking. I already can do this whacking compaction stuff. I need to learn how to like set forms. I need more like, I need to be more taught on like setting the forms. But like, I was already making them a lot of money by being ahead of the guys that were setting up and framing all the stuff for the concrete. They had me on the compaction crew, but I was like not really learning anything at that point, and I was kind of getting frustrated. And I remember having a conversation with, Pat, and I was like, hey, I'm not a mason, dude. I'm a laborer, and something like that, something stupid and immature. And I told him, like, there's a job over there in Taft, a solar job, and I'm trying to land that job. It's closer to home, 15 minutes. It was a union job, 15 minutes away from my house, dude. And I was like, and it was a big one too. And I was like, dude, I need to land this job. And I ended up fucking landing the job. I went out there. We were working in Roseman at the time, and I told Pat, I was like, hey, dude, I need to take a couple days off because I'm gonna go try to talk to these foremans and superintendents out here. I pulled up to the job, joined their fucking morning huddle, safety meeting, and everything, and I'm looking for the labor supervisor out there. And I'm like, hey, my name is Kyle. I'm just, coming out to see if you guys are hiring. I'm at a local 220. I'm a laborer. I'm an apprentice. Um, I live in Taft. I would really like to work with you guys and have the opportunity. And they didn't end up calling me back. The union just called me because I was on the list at that time, and I was running my own employment for the first time ever. And sure enough, God's power, right timing. They called me the Taft job, and I was like, wow, those people actually remembered me and they called me, but they didn't. It was just luck. So I was tripping, like they just called me to go work at that job. It was kicking off and they needed laborers, and I was an apprentice. They always send apprentices, pretty much first. And then if you're a journeyman, like you just, or they know that you're good at that skill. So like we're gonna get our A team guys over here, or however it works. You know what I mean? Everyone has their A team. But yeah, I was there for a year and a half, and sadly I developed all these bad habits. I'm still, trying to fake drug tests, drinking, smoking. My only goal was to be a journeyman, and that's all I thought like I wanted to be. I stopped making videos when I was in the oil fields. I'd film here every once in a while and flex my job, but I wasn't like doing what I used to do like in high school and make the vlogs as a kid. Me riding BMX bikes. I wasn't sitting in my car making videos about how I'm going to do better in life, what I'm going to do. I didn't work out. I literally smoked weed, drank beer, went to my girlfriend, we cooked. She cooked all the time, and my ex-girlfriend, and I thought I had it figured out. I had a dog, we had a truck, I had a car. We just moved into a house, and I thought I had it all figured out, man. And fortunately, I didn't. And it came to a point where I was working at that Taft job and not making the best decisions ever. And I ruined all of it and ruined all my relationship. And that got me to go move back with my step-parents. And from there, me and my stepmom were not getting along. We weren't getting along at all. And fucking I had to come back and move with my real biological mom after 11 years of not living with her, and that was August of 2024. And I'm still going to this Taft job. I start posting on social media about how I hate my job, how I'm trading time for money, and how I'm so fucking stupid, or what am I doing with my life? I'm starting to question things. I'm starting to flip out on the Instagram. I'm just talking very negative, and that's when I found out when you put very negative things out into the world, you get a negative result. And I got a very negative result, and that led me to getting fired for the very first time. Very first time. That Arvin job at Sandusky, I had to quit because I didn't have the car no more. So I had no more transportation until I bought this car, and I was working at GPS in the oil fields. I ended up losing my job because I was really just talking shit. I would go to this job, man, such a bad time in my life, and I would see all these construction workers, man, and I didn't want to be like them. I would be so fucked up in my head trying to figure out, like, talking to like girls are like so different than what I thought they were. Like everyone's like so not how I thought it was gonna be, and I was just so confused at that time. I would come home and literally tell my mom like I didn't want to be here. I'd rather die than have to work for somebody the rest of my life. And I was just super, super sad and super depressed. And I was off for 3 months. I literally had to wait on the out of work list for about 3 months. And that's when I went out to Lake Isabella and I started doing traffic control. And I had good hours. I was working like 6/12s, 6/10s, and I paid off my Harley. Paid off my Harley that I bought when I was working in that solar job in Taft, and that I crashed, got hit. So that was a really bad time, guys. Super bad time. And paid that off. I paid off some course loans that I got. Started getting into like the social media stuff when I was crashing out on the internet, and started posting like my gym shit, and started posting gym content. And from there, I thought I was gonna be a fitness coach, and I was gonna sell programs. I was only like 7 months in the gym. I had like abs, and I was kind of had some aesthetic on me, and I thought I was like, I looked pretty good. You know what I mean? Not as good as I look now, and I know more now. I'm not the fucking professional, but I would say I look fucking so decent now. I've never been in the best shape of my life. And Lake Isabella, paid off my Harley, paid off the course loans, Sam Millsap, Scam Millsap, they call him now, Vincent Fisher, bought his course, and got into all the spiritual entrepreneur shit and really thought that, like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to post every day. I'm going to make it. And instant gratification got the best of me. And I really wanted I wanted it now. I didn't want long term. I'm so used to, working in the fields, like construction, and, we knock shit out. So I'm thinking, like, this social media shit is more like long term. It's like you really have to set a goal for, like, the long term. And, it was so different from, like, 16-year-old Kyle making vlogs to now everyone's, like, a very specific audience. You got, like, an ideal customer ICP. I'll put it up here. I forgot exactly what it means, but it's like an ideal customer person. And now everything's like you're selling a lifestyle to poor people. And I was so hooked on that shit. I got manipulated and I was very influenced by people's lifestyle. And I was the first time I ever seen this, like, oh, you're a gym bro. I want to help other gym bros make their first 10,000 online. I'm like, why can't I do it? And I didn't have the knowledge. I was trying to build I was trying to build like a personal brand. I was trying to like, tell my story and, everything that I've been through. And don't get me wrong, I'm still trying to tell my story every day. I'm just not exactly where I want to be. And I've changed a lot since then. And it's crazy. So after that Lake Isabella job, that finished within like 3 months. I call the union and be like, hey, can I get on the out of work list? They're like, yeah, you're going to be 130 on the list. I'm like, F. Damn it. They're like, wait, hold on. We got another job, actually. It's in Mammoth. I'm like, Mammoth? Where the fuck? Mammoth? That snows, I think. It snows up there. And I'm like, holy shit. I told my mom, like, Mom, these guys, they just said they'll send me to Mammoth or I can wait 130 on the list. Mom's like, don't go. That's too far, Kyle. I'm like, I gotta go. I got momentum right now. I was just working. And I went to Mammoth. March 9th, Daylight Savings Day, 2025. I went to Mammoth, and I worked there, and fucking spent money for 11 weeks degenerate. Got this tattoo, spent all the money I made within 11 weeks, came back home for 3 weeks with nothing to show for. I said I was going to pay this car off, and never did. Luckily, they called me back. They called my friend back that I went up there with, and he's like, Kyle, I want to take you to this job. I want to take you back up to Mammoth. So he took me back up to Mammoth. I put my fucking head down, and I saved not everything, but I saved a lot of money, and that got me to pay off my car in October of 2025. I bought me a new Harley that's sitting right over there. Financed it because I had no line of credit at the time. I had no line of credit at the time. So after I paid this car off, besides my credit card, and I bought the bike, and now I'm home. And I know the last video you guys probably seen, I was a little emotional and upset because I went back up to Mammoth pretty much to just go party. And I don't want to party this year. I'm really seeing these loops. Drug testing, trying to stay clean, drinking, switching over to a different drug, being really sunk into the social media and influenced by people's lives, instant gratification. And right now I'm just struggling with trying to be just as true to myself. I get really lost on like days that are just, I know I go to the gym, I know I need to eat, I know that I just don't know like where I can make my money online. I don't know how they do it. I asked ChatGPT. I just don't know where like my momentum is gonna come from. Like I want to learn money. It's hard for me to sit down and read. I'm getting a little closer to God, reading the Bible. It's just structure for me. When I don't have my day structured, I am really fucked up. So living day by day, and just one thing I can really do is just stay consistent with the gym and eat clean and never quit making my videos. I need to go back to work. I got my wisdom teeth taken out, so I'm off till the 30th, and then after that I should have no reason why I shouldn't go look for work. So I'm off work right now. It's January. I got another doctor's appointment because I have some like staph or something in my armpit. So I gotta go do that. I gotta get my eyes checked out, Kyle, and take care of myself because I was working crazy hours in Mammoth just a month ago. So I ended up making my first my bank says $115,000. $115,000 ran through my bank account. So that's my biggest year so far, and I will do it again. I will be in a lucky spot to get that opportunity again. And my next goal is to get a duplex, be a owner occupant, live in it, rent the other one out, get my own place, be able to take care of my mom's rent as well, and get in that grind. So you got this. If you're going through anything, you're in your early 20s, you're not alone. You're going to figure it out just like me. I'm on the same path. I don't want anybody to think that I'm, more achieved and more in life. I have nothing to show for after making $115,000 last year. So degeneracy, spending money, being in the moment, buying the shiny things got the best of me last year. And 2026, I'm really, towards December, it really hit me where I was like, fuck, man. I need to do better. You see the patterns. We know what to do wrong. You know what you're doing wrong. Do the opposite. So that's where I'm at. If you stayed through this whole video, I appreciate you guys. There's no doubt, as long as we stay consistent, we will make it. Someone will watch this video. It's just a matter of staying consistent and posting the journey. I'm a regular person. I do construction. I love the opportunities that I get. I don't quite love exactly what I do, but every poor or rich, we have to work. But ultimately, we're gonna be all right. Okay. I love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching this whole video.